Hello everyone and welcome to Data-podden, the data podcast. I guess it should be named in English.
Yeah, and we're on world tour this week.
Yeah, we're not in Sweden in Stockholm at our normal office, but we're in a hotel in Aarhus to visit Random Forest, Denmark. And
we're not speaking English just because we are outside Sweden.
No, because we have Lars with us as well.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lars.
Yeah. And thank you for having me. It's a big honor.
Yeah, very nice to have you here.
Yeah.
And we're switching to English just in honor of you also.
Yeah.
Who are you, Lars?
I am leading the Danish Random Forest office. We've been going on for around a year, pretty close today actually. And I work of course with BI and live here in Aarhus. I know you, Gustav, from way back.
Yeah, we met before when you were working as CFO.
Yeah, correct.
But you switched to doing a little bit more technical parts as well.
Yeah, I've always liked working with data. So it's been my biggest interest, you could say. So
yeah. And for newcomers, my name is Gustav Rengby.
And by your side is Konstantin Ekström, as always.
But we won't introduce ourselves. If you have heard some other episodes, you might have heard of us, and we really want to get down to the articles now.
Yep.
So I mean, it's the data and analytics podcast where we read 3 articles each week. We want to keep you as a listener updated within this field, data and analytics, and AI, and business intelligence, and all that. So we will just start and deliver the week's news.
Yeah.
And Konstantin, you are going first.
Have you seen the movie Showtime with Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy? It sounds like we wait for the subject of,
I missed
immediately.
That one.
Yeah. But anyway, Eddie Murphy is playing a slightly overexcited but not too successful cop. And every time he's about to make an arrest, he takes a deep breath and says, "It's showtime." And I can almost hear you thinking, what on earth is he talking about right now? But it was just something that I came to think about when I saw this week's article with the title, "It's Snowday." So Snowflake basically have 2 events per year where they make major product and feature announcements. One is the annual summit, which is going to be in San Francisco this year. And the second one is Snowday. And the article I have chosen this week summarizes the most significant announcements. And the first one is Snowflake Cortex. And this is a fully managed serverless service inside Snowflake, providing with the building blocks to use LLMs and AI without requiring any expertise in managing complex GPU-based infrastructure. And the managed service also includes serverless functions, which can be called using SQL or Python in a very similar way as you would normally do with like sum, max, replace, etc. And the functions can be divided into 2 categories. So the first one we have is specialized functions. Cortex includes language models that can detect sentiment, summarize, extract answers, and translate text into other languages. So, for example, if you have a column containing customer reviews in German, you can translate it into English by typing select and then specify the functions snowflake.ml.translate and then specify choosing the columns you want to translate and from what language to what language, and voila, there you have it. There are also specialized functions for tapping into traditional machine learning models such as forecasting, anomaly detection, and classification. The second category is general purpose functions. And here we find functionality that will let the customers chat with the data. So we're able to ask questions on your data and get answers. All these functions run serverless, meaning that the users can go straight to the real job working with the data. And Siddhar Ramaswamy, Senior Vice President of AI at Snowflake, he summarized like this: we do the provisioning, we do the development. It looks just like an API, similar to say what OpenAI offers, but it's done right within Snowflake. So data does not live anywhere, and it comes with the kind of guarantees that our customers want and demand, which is that the data is obviously isolated and is never intermingled with any kind of cross-customer training. So it's both sort of a platform where you can build your models without have to dealing with infrastructure, and they also have these serverless functions that add value and can be used right out of the box without having any previous knowledge in those kind of things. And as part of this Cortex launch, Snowflake also unveiled a few features that will provide Gen AI capabilities that leverage Cortex. And this includes Document AI, which is basically a function that will let you analyze, for instance, PDF documents. You can ask questions on your documents and store all those answers in a tabular format, that means in a table. You also have Snowflake Copilot, which is like any other copilots we see on the market right now, with ability to help the developers producing code. And finally, Universal Search, which is more of a data cataloging feature, allowing to search among your tables, along your data and some applications that you have. If we move forward, Snowflake has also launched notebooks in private preview, providing users with a familiar Jupyter-like environment for data exploration and machine learning application development. So, and for those not familiar with notebooks, this brings a cell-based development experience where you can build on a cell, execute, and mix across SQL, Python, and Markdown in this particular case then. You have been able to connect to Snowflake from Jupyter notebooks previously, for instance, via Visual Studio Code, but now you can work natively inside Snowflake. So that's the new thing here. And some other general Snowpark updates. I could quickly mention that Snowpark is where you interact with your data using code, such as Python, Java, Scala, rather than SQL. Someone explained to me that this is a no SQL environment, but you can still use SQL in some sense. But that's where you build, for instance, machine learning models. And the news here is that we have Snowpark model registry, which was announced, and that would offer cataloging and access to models used across Snowpark, including traditional ML and LLM for Gen AI. And also private preview for Snowflake Feature Store was announced, which will provide a repository for ML features. Going forward here, we have Snowflake Horizon. And it is Snowflake's offering for automating data governance tasks, such as compliance, security, privacy, interoperability, and access capabilities in Snowflake's cloud. And if you go down and look at the components here, we have within data, we have data quality monitoring, which enables customers to measure and record data quality metrics for reporting and debugging, as well as data lineage, providing a visual representation of your data flows. And in terms of privacy and security, we find differential privacy policies. I had no idea what that was when I first read it. But anyway, what it's doing is that enhancing the data security by preventing disclosure of individual records. So it's kind of similar to row access policy, but it's more like from a masking security point of view rather than who should see what and so based on organizational level. Yes, and then we have new data classifiers that will support defining sensitive data. and a trust center that streamlines cross-cloud security and compliance monitoring. And in terms of cost monitoring, Snowflake adds a new cost management interface to Horizon that enables admins to easily understand, control, and optimize their spend, they say. And last but not least, I'm soon done, I promise. There's so much news this time.
Yeah, we're just happy hearing about all the news. So
fantastic.
Please continue.
Yeah.
Forever.
But what I'm about to say is that, but last but not least here, the company announced a public preview for Iceberg tables. This is something I've been waiting for quite a long time. So Snowflake has already made Iceberg its preferred open table format, but there were some differences in how Iceberg tables were supported. And with this announcement, it's moving to simplify and unify that support. So instead of two separate table types for Iceberg, they are combining Iceberg external tables and native Iceberg tables into one table type with similar user experience, as well as performance, I understood. So you will have a very similar performance to what you have within Snowflake already today. But the difference will be that you create an Iceberg table, it will show up in Snowflake just like any other table, but the data itself will be stored on, for instance, your storage account or S3 bucket. Yeah, that's all. I'm done.
Lovely. You've done a few Snowflake projects with like regular data platforms. Given all this new functionality, which one do you think is that one would be really good for the platform that you've been working with?
Yeah. I would say the one that I was most excited about, the Cortex, those predefined functions that will let you. It was not only translation; it was like a sentiment or something that you can actually use. Very often, when you load data, you have these text fields that's like a comment or just something that has previously been. It's just information. You need to have a report and drill down and actually examine those records individually in order to get something out of it. But now it gets so much easier for anyone who is a traditional data warehouse developer to actually start using this stuff and be able to get out information from those fields. So you can actually add extra value to things you already have in your data warehouse.
And I guess, one thing that Snowflake is really good at is making things really easy. And it's like, I think they mentioned here that you don't need to set up like a specific cluster for this, or like it's just everything is configured to work. So it's very easy.
I think that's one of the slogans. It just works.
It just works. Yeah.
Konstantin, is it no code?
No, it's still code, but it was a bit simplified and accessible to more people.
Easy for data engineers and data scientists.
That's a good way to put it.
Should be.
It's still
in parentheses.
It's still code. Okay.
not easy for my mom.
No. But, perhaps version 33 or something like that. Cortex. So the Cortex, that's like a new packaging within the Snowflake solution. Is it like a GUI or is it like a?
It's more like an engine.
Like an engine.
Yeah. So it's nothing visual like Streamlit. There we have an actual tab, a button saying Streamlit, and where you can create reports and so.
So you get to all these new Cortex functions is through the regular a graphical user interface that
exactly.
used before.
I've seen an example where they were using these new notebooks and calling these serverless functions.
Yeah.
So you could use them anywhere in the application.
What's the difference then? Like the Snowflake notebooks now, because you have had Snowpark, but that's not notebooks. It's just scripts, or what's the difference?
You can have just a sort of a text, sort of a text file we have everything. But when you have notebooks, you have it's like multiple textbooks in one file, and that means that you can also execute each cell containing some code individually, and also kind of store the information. So you run until this part, and then you run your second block.
So it's like, because Snowpark was more like, well, you had like a script and then you run the script, and now you have like one more, you can have script segments set up in notebooks instead.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. You use Snowpark in the same way as notebooks, or is it two different?
It's a way to work with it.
Yeah.
You have been able to connect notebooks previously, but then you need to set up a set up a connection from your notebook. So if you, for instance, if you wanted to make sort of a break in the middle of your code, you need to actually make a type break.
Yeah, we always have some water when we're doing shows at our own office, but this time you need to be on your own, Konstantin.
Yeah.
Perhaps we need to go move on to next.
I think that's best.
Or did you have any more questions, Lars?
No, that's very informative for me. I'm not so much used to work with Snowflake, so
Like last comment, you might say that, well, Snowflake has had like the data platform is of course really good, but this is like really big steps for advanced analytics also, and for data governance.
Yeah.
So they are like,
I must say,
completing
the journey for advanced analytics that Snowflake has made the past year is tremendous, because they released the Snowpark a little more than a year ago or so, for real. And I heard someone saying that roughly 50% of all Snowflake customers are using Snowpark today.
Oh.
So it goes really fast.
Yeah, that's really cool. Shall we move on with Lars? You have an article?
Yeah, I have an article, but maybe
an article and a YouTube video.
And a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Don't make it too complex. If you can't read, you can always
you can
watch
always,
a video.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So so that's my background material. I want to talk about visual calculations. As Power BI users, especially maybe new users, know there's a kind of a steep but also difficult learning curve, and the main reason for that is the programming language DAX. As one of the DAX gurus, Alberto Ferrari, said, DAX is simple but not easy. And that is very true. The main reason that DAX is complicated is because of a concept called the filter context, which you could say is a set of filters that are applied when a DAX measure is being evaluated. Filters can come from slicers in the report. It can be external report filters. It can be table relationships. It can also be activated through user interaction. So therefore, you could say the DAX programmer needs to have a very, you could say, a defensive mindset when building DAX code, because he has to think about all sorts of cases that can go wrong with his DAX coding. So that's the main reason why DAX is difficult. Actually, back in 2020, again, Alberto Ferrari and his good old pal, Marco Russo, did a proposal for visual calculations. They wrote a paper, and they described it could be nice if the users could actually do some kind of a DAX inside the visuals, instead of writing this DAX that would have to take all kind of filter context into concern. So now, 3 years later, and I don't know how much influence that article has had, but 3 years later, we now have a release plan for Power BI that says that we will have visual calculations in March 24. It won't be general available, but at least it should come out in preview. So what is said in the Microsoft document is visual calculations allow users to create new calculations from a table of data using gestures similar to Excel. Feature details. Visual calculations allow users to build new calculations from any visual inside Power BI using an Excel grid-like interface. They allow users to use a grid to express the new formula and allows reference to paste cells in order to derive a calculation. Most users today struggle to write and create DAX calculations of this nature. For example, running totals. In Excel, a user would simply reference the previous value from the cell. With these new visual calculation abilities, users would be able to leverage previous values, easily allowing them to build very complex formulas very quickly. So that is all what we know from Microsoft.
But it sounds really good. I mean, running totals has been quite hard in Power BI.
Yeah,
you might say.
Yeah, I agree. If you know how to do it, it's easy, but still you have to.
But it's for the experts.
Yeah, you could say it's for the experts.
So
and it's still you have to take the filter context into concern.
Yeah. So it has been like, I mean, the idea is that line of business should be able to build their own reports as much as possible. But then you get to the running total, and then you need a Power BI expert.
Yeah.
And now the threshold will go down, I guess.
Exactly. So, but I think we will delve into that just in a second.
Yeah.
Because now
I'm going too fast here.
Yeah, you're going a little too fast.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We are a little slow here in Denmark.
Sorry.
No, I think because this what I read just before. That is what Microsoft tells us. Then a video came out last month, 12th of October, where a Microsoft senior manager explains and actually demos the product. And so that's actually pretty. It's more than an hour, pretty detailed around what will come out in at least the first release. So in that video, it is said that you can build calculations based on what is on the visual without having to worry about the filter context. And you will actually be able to write and also read it's still kind of a DAX statement, but with minimal typing and what I like, point and click, no code. Even though maybe I would actually prefer to write it, but if people come from an Excel world, they are maybe used to point and click and to point to one cell and use that. So that is what you will be able to do. So the idea is you could say what you see is what you get. So you have a certain visual. It could be everything. It could be a bar chart or a pie chart or whatever. You edit visual calculations, then it opens up. And beneath all visuals, you could say you have columns and rows. And all the columns you can use in your new calculation. So you can build a new column. So you can take the revenue and subtract the costs or whatever, and then you can build your own. And all what you're building, all the calculation stays within that visual. So it will be possible to both use old DAX in this visual. You can point and click on the elements in the visual, and there'll also be a number of new DAX functions coming out. I think what you could refer to, for example, as the Windows functions, where you can refer to previous and next and stuff like that, which makes good sense if you're looking at a table in front of you instead of a data model. So in that way, you could say this DAX actually becomes easy. Even, I would say, maybe for my mom, would be able to now code, or not code, but be able to do some kind of difficult calculations in Power BI.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, nice. And actually, what I also realized when I saw the video is that it is supposed to also be for the end user. So the end user, while he is using the report, he will go in and he will be able to change visual calculations and add new visual calculations. So it becomes a little bit like Excel. Both the good things, but maybe also the bad things.
Hopefully most good things then. I guess it's always difficult when the users do stuff, but it's also very good, I guess.
I think the end users, especially the new end users that haven't spent tens of thousands of hours like I have on understanding DAX, it would be easy for them to come out with quick results. I think maybe some BI departments will not like this, because you build a data platform, you come out with like a single source of truth, and then you give it all away. You could say.
Then you get all these questions.
Yeah.
Why doesn't this work?
Yeah.
It's because you've done wrong in the visual.
No, I have calculated sales this way. No, we do it this way.
No.
Yeah.
No, and both are right.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's where we were before we had common data platform.
But it's both that it becomes easier to use, like running totals for like doing that for like a layman, but also for DAX developers will have an easier task as well.
Yeah, it will be faster. You have to that's like a trade-off, as I see it. You can do things easy, but you have to do it for each visual. So if you have some common calculations, maybe it would still be a good idea to do them in DAX. And then, of course, you have to think about all the filter context and stuff. But if you want to be sure that people, when they look at the sales and the profit, that they all have the same numbers, it would be good to have it in DAX. But on the other way, if you need to do something more like, you could say, quick and dirty, it's great that you can just throw in the numbers and do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Do we know anything about when?
Yeah,
this is gonna happen?
Not about general availability, but it should be in a preview in March next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they might say it will come out earlier. And since they already demoing some of it, it's likely, I think.
Yeah. So maybe we can expect it to be public available within a year.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. I guess before summer, I would guess.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Is there anything you should think about already now, or is it just waiting and then happily start using the new functions? Or
I think I'll just wait and see what happens, and you don't really know a bigger part of the functions come out in the beginning, and what will come out later. So far, it's just based on columns. What would be I know for myself and for a lot of other people, it would be nice to also do this for rows.
Yeah.
So you could have correct totals. That's a long because I could talk about that a long time. I won't. But that's actually something that is quite complicated. Is to have the correct totals, which is like the aggregation of rows.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What's the problem with the total rows?
It has to do with the filter context.
Yeah.
So you can easily show a visual where the sum of all the rows is not what's set in the report, because what you see in the report is relying on on the filter context that you see it in. So it's a little complicated. But if you could do sums in the visual, that would not be a problem anymore, because then what you see is what you get, and it will always be correct.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going forward?
Yeah.
Any more comments? Then we're getting into next part, and I have an article here from the OpenAI.com blog.
I'm having a deja vu right now.
Mm-hmm.
AI.
AI, yeah.
I think we mentioned it before.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. We have been in that before. And we will do it a lot of times more.
Yes.
So this was written on the 7th November. The headline is New Models and Developer Products Announced at DevDay. So OpenAI has had something they call a DevDay. And now we can hear about what they have come up with the last release. And they say they have 3 big changes. New GPT-4 turbo model, new Assistance API, new multimodal capabilities in the platform. I'm going to go through a little bit on all these 3. We thought it's interesting. I don't think we have had like OpenAI blog articles before, but we thought it is interesting because OpenAI is a little bit of a leader here, and I think the other ones will join in and use it, or it will be available in the tooling of everyone at a later date as well, or directly if you're using OpenAI, of course. Okay, so all this new functionality will roll out starting from the 7th of November, actually. But they have like each thing is going in its own course, so it's not everything is available directly. But they start here with the biggest thing here, the GPT-4 Turbo model. We released the first version of GPT-4 in March, they say. And it made GPT-4 generally available to all developers in July. And now they're launching the preview of the next generation of this model. And they say that GPT-4 Turbo is more capable and has knowledge of world events up to April 2023. I think it was 2021 before, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it has a 128K context window. And they say here, it's the equivalent of 300 pages of text in a single prompt. I think we were talking about Llama, the open source, and Llama, and what was the other one? Databricks had one, Mosaics as well.
Yes.
They had like 3 A4 pages that they were looking at. So this is 300 pages of input tokens for like in the model. So it's like a whole book, and then you ask it for something. That's a lot of inputs. And they say they have also optimized the performance of GPT-4, made it 3 times cheaper price for input tokens. It's available for all paying developers in the preview. And the production model will come out in the coming weeks, they say. So that's the biggest thing that they've done. They also have something they have added to. They have a function within the OpenAI APIs called function calling. So that means if you're using an LLM model, you can like set endpoints to your LLM model, so the LLM model in turn can call other functions. And they've added some functionality here as well. So they added that you can make several function calls on just one LLM model operation. So the example here is open the car window and turn off the AC. So it's you do that to the LLM model, and the LLM model to understand that it's two function calls. It's both open the car window and then turn off the AC. Before it needed to be in two different operations. So that they have added to their to the function calling functionality for everyone who's like building some kind of assistant on GPT-4. They've also added in the response format. They've like gotten the model better at like if you wanted to deliver an output in a specific format, it can sometimes start delivering something else, even if you ask it for XML or JSON or something. The LLM model in itself might be a little bit doing its own stuff. Now they've added so you can like add like to the API. It's like a new configuration saying only JSON, and then it will verify that you only get like actual JSON, correct verified format at the end. They have some other functionality as well. Reproducible outputs. They've added a seed value. You know, a seed value, you set like a some kind of integer or something, so that if you add that, it will use that for like a randomizer. So it's always the same randomizer used in the functionality calling after that. In this way, you can get like much more, like if you try it and you want to test something, you get the same answer by having this random seed setting. That's like a quite normal type of parameter in many situations where it's depended in some ways on random things in the model. But they also say that it's almost always respond in the same way. So you can't know for certain here. That's a little bit interesting. And of course, it's like a black box, and neural network are not that they are complex. So you can understand that it can somewhere be different anyway. You can also get like the possibility to get the they added the possibility to get the probabilities for the predicted next token. So you don't get you can always ask like the LLM model, okay, I have this text, what will be the next word, and you can hello, this is, and then you ask what's the next word. It's Gustav with 100%. But now you can get the percentage of how big chance is it that it's Gustav, or how big chance is it that next word will be Lars or Konstantin. So you can get like the number of words that are mostly common after that kind of meaning. I'll grab a beer or water. What's the probability?
A beer, 100%.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself right now.
Yeah, they say also they have added to like GPT 3.5 as well, Turbo. Supports also 16K context window by default. 16K, it's not that big as 128K. So you can see the difference. Just a few pages. 16,000 tokens, I guess, they are referring to. Okay, but they have more. I'm not done. They have something that they call Assistant API. So this is a new API that helps developers that want to create their own specific chatbots. So they made it much easier to make your own chatbot from GPT. So they take some example of use cases. If you want to create a vacation planner, like you chat with, or a voice control DJ, or a smart visual canvas. So you can use this Assistant API to build it. As with the rest of the platform, data and files passed to the OpenAI API are never used to train our models, they say. And developers can delete the data when they see fit. So as soon as you're using the developer version, or like the enterprise version here, it's not like you've heard about Samsung and other companies that were using the open, like the public GPT functionality and added like data that became part of the model. But if you're like doing your own API using the API and like the enterprise model functionality where you pay for it, it is not used.
Yeah, but in the case of Samsung, it was like some super secret source code that entered.
Yeah, and the Assistant API, they say that it also works with their like other functionality, and they have a list here. The code interpreter, I think that was a news not that long ago, where you have like the possibility to you can write, or like the LLM model can write Python code and run it in a sandbox within like that's part of the functionality. So you can get your LLM model do this kind of Python functionality, and then it runs, and then you can get like visuals of that. So if that's the part of it, like get a visual of a diagram of this and that. You can also use the retrieval functionality here from. Retrieval is that the functionality of getting like knowledge from outside of the model. So that's like the normal functionality of a chatbot. Like you want to add your own documents and use that for like answering questions. So retrieval and function calling will also be a part of the Assistant API. So the function calling, where they had added this new functionality. Okay, some other parts here, the modalities that they call it. So GPT-4 Turbo will come with the vision functionality. So you can get out pictures. I think that they're using DALL-E for that part. Also, you can have images as input to the chat. So you can add some, if you have not just text, you will be able to add images as well. And also they have new like possibility to just add also and integrate DALL-E 3, they say. The third version of that DALL-E. DALL-E is a image generating function, AI generative function. Used open source, I think, I'd say. Wasn't it Google that created DALL-E?
Isn't that OpenAI as well?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Also, they've added text to speech. So you can, as they describe it, developers can now generate human quality speech from text via the text to speech API. And they have, in this new model, they have 6 preset voices to choose from. So it's a number of different, like it's a male voice, women voice, and with different types of speech. They have in the article, you can try it, and it works really great. So it's perfectly it works very well.
Yeah.
So it from text.
What about the Danish letters? A, Ö, and O?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me. I think it will come, but in version DALL-E 10.
Yeah.
DALL-E 10.
Let me write that down.
GPT 35. So we're on GPT 4 now, but GPT 35. Then it will. No, I don't know. No, I guess it. I think Swedish letters. It does work with Swedish in all. I guess you can chat with in Danish as well with.
Yes, you can chat.
Yeah.
I think the text to speech, if it was pronounced
right.
Swedish or Danish.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, I don't know if that even works with Swedish. That's a good question. I think it's English.
Yeah,
actually.
But it doesn't mean that we can simply submit our script to this and then skip the recording part of the podcast.
No, I don't think they have that good voices actually, and they can't. I mean,
the correct answer that they will never have.
They will never have like a model that can like understand and pronounce this bad English that we have. This is like priceless. So it's that's probably we're fine. We're fine.
Our serious podcast became a comedy.
Yeah.
So for version 10, it's now with 7 more accents.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I guess we need to learn some more bad English accents.
Yeah.
No, an interesting thing here. When I was reading about the function calling, it does say in the API reference API on the OpenAI, they say in a small like added note, it says like, well, okay, and of course you can, when you set up like this function calling, you will be able to have parameterization as well. And in a small note, it says the model may hallucinate parameters.
Oh my God! Wow.
So I guess it's not. It should be like you can make your own voice DJ, but you shouldn't do like driving your car or or I don't know. It's you can still get some hallucination, I guess.
So it means it sees things that are not there.
Yeah, and it starts like I guess it's just adding its own idea of like what should be parameters into this function calling. So it can, like, if you have set it to I want like black paint on the canvas, and black is the parameter, and then it just starts setting blue and yellow and red because it likes it.
Yeah.
Turn down the AC, it opens the window.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be like some kind of moral hallucination. No, you shouldn't waste AC. That costs too much electricity. Well, I mean, it's really interesting. I think the Assistant API is really interesting of these, and of course the GPT-4. The vast number of tokens that goes into that is really impressive.
But something I've been thinking about the whole time here when you were presented is the naming, turbo. Is that like referring to what they have in the car industry with like what they call it a facelift? There's something you have midway until you have the next real new version of the product?
Yeah, I know. That's a good question.
Or is it more like an extra large engine like Saab 993 Turbo?
Yeah. It's it's reusing a word that has not been around for quite some time, I guess.
No, apart from TurboTax, but that's part of the naming.
TurboTax.
TurboTax.
What's that?
American tool for making your tax annually as a private person.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Why I brought that up. Yeah, and I
No,
think
Turbo gets a new usage at least. Not only engines, not only taxes. Now it's algorithms can be turbo as well.
So extra speed or something, extra power.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. I'm not sure how they mean, but I guess in like a just from guessing, like turbo is might be that it gets cheaper, so that might be a difference.
Cheaper?
Yeah, it's like a better version of GPT. But they say that when they make a better version of it, it's like cutting corners on how much it costs.
Yeah, because you pay for the time it's running.
Yeah.
But then it is more powerful then. But can it have something to do with the extra pages, that those 300 pages that you could use?
Yeah, perhaps. I guess we need to look into the difference between the GPT-4 and the GPT-4 Turbo.
Yeah, I think there actually was one GPT 3.5 Turbo. I think I mentioned that last time that Gunnebo worked with that one first when they started.
But will that be then both editions? You can both have the GPT-4 and or you could choose GPT-4.
Yeah, I think.
Turbo.
Oh, that's a good question. We're just making questions. We're not answering anything here. But that's
I would
true.
say it as usual.
Yeah, but Gunnebo, they tried GPT-4 3 and then 4, and the third were more hallucination.
Yeah, I think it was
prone.
3.5 Turbo was doing hallucinations,
Yeah,
and that was solved by implementing GPT-4.
Yeah, so they changed to this one with the much larger context.
But now they have a Turbo as well. So.
More expensive.
I always thought that when the GPT-3 and GPT 3.5 and so on came out, that was like a version number.
Yeah.
But does it have to do maybe with the size of an engine instead?
No, I think isn't it 3.5? That had like 150 billion neurons, I think, while the fourth has 400. Is it billion or is it? I think it's billion.
Okay.
So it's a difference of how many neurons that.
So it is the size, just like a car.
It's the size of the neural network behind it.
Okay.
And also in the parameters of course, because it's a lot larger than on the fourth with the 128,000 tokens, like the wordings, 128,000 words before the one word that it should predict. So it can keep in mind 128,000 words that were going in before, and now you need to predict the next one.
That's more than we can handle.
I would still say
no. Yeah. I'm above that, but talk for yourself, Konstantin. I remember everything.
It just sounds a lot.
Yeah, I guess now we've been just sitting here and lying too much. Perhaps we should end this. Or what do you say?
Yeah.
Anything? Any last words?
No, I think it's about time. I did think when both of your the both articles you talked about and mine, it's like everything is around making things easier.
Yeah.
And not just better and faster, but I think to have things made so easy that more and more people can make use of things.
Yeah. And AI.
And AI, of course.
Yeah. No, actually, when this reach your ear, I think Ignite is just on its way. So next week we will talk a little bit about the new things said during Microsoft Ignite, the conference. That will be starting in, is it October?
I think it's 15 and 16th.
November.
15th and 16th, I think.
Yeah. It's next week.
Yeah, something. Yeah, great. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we're recording this the week before. So it's in this week, you might say.
Yeah.
When you hear it. But for us, it's next week. So very difficult.
Complicated.
I guess you need like that kind of window function for understanding this.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for being on your podcast, Lars.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, I think.
Very nice to have you here, and thanks for that you can are hosting us here in Aarhus as well.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Vakna klockan 5, det är mörkt nu igen. Som om idag är en repris av igår. Släpper mig ändå upp, känns som bly i min kropp. Och så en insikt fylld av fasa mig slår. Kylen den är tömd.